getting the facts right and alerting you to weather danger. This is KTXS News at 6.
Good evening. Thanks for watching KTXS News at 6. I'm Brenna Gibbons. The NTSB now on scene of a second air crash, just days after a commercial jet collided with a military helicopter in the skies over Washington, D.C. A medical transport plane carrying 6 people crashed shortly after taking off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero with the details.
A massive inferno in the streets of Northeast Philadelphia. Buildings and vehicles engulfed in flames, debris scattered in the street after a medical transport jet crashed into the residential area.
They just crashed into the plaza.
The jet taking off from Northeast Philadelphia Airport shortly after 6 p.m. Friday, crashing just moments later. Surveillance video captured the moment it happened. You can see an explosive fireball in the night sky before the jet plummeted to the ground. The Learjet 55 was operating as a medical ambulance carrying 6 people, a pediatric patient, her mother, and 4 crew members, according to the company that owns the jet. They were returning home to Mexico with a stop in Missouri after the child received care from a children's hospital in Philadelphia. All 6 died in the crash.
At least one other person perished in this tragedy, and this individual was in a car. We can confirm that there are also a number of other victims who were injured in this incident, and they are being treated in area hospitals.
This crash just days after that mid-air collision between an American Airlines plane and a military Black Hawk helicopter in Washington, D.C. that claimed 67 lives. The flight recorders are now being evaluated by the NTSB.
We will have tens of thousands of pages of material, hundreds of exhibits, but we can't speculate until we know how it all fits into a really big complex puzzle. And part of that's on the bottom of the Potomac right now.
Preliminary data shows the Black Hawk was flying at 350 feet above the 200-foot limit in that airspace. The FAA has now restricted low-altitude helicopters from flying over the Potomac near Reagan National Airport. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
You could soon be spending more out of pocket at the grocery store with President Trump's tariff against Canada, Mexico, and China. He's imposing 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada and a 10% tariff on China. CBS Austin's Jamal Kennedy has more on how these tariffs are expecting to impact Texans the most.
We certainly are still taking a look at exactly how it's going to impact our industry in particular.
Texas Food and Fuel Association President Paul Hardin says while it's still unclear how exactly President Trump's tariffs against Mexico, Canada, and China will impact Texans and Austinites, when it comes to the fuel portion of things, he says you may not notice much of a difference at the pump.
With fuel in general, certainly majority of that comes out of the Gulf Coast here in the state of Texas, so we don't have to worry too much about that being affected.
He says we do export some fuel across the border to Mexico, which could raise an issue. When it comes to groceries, though, how concerned should the average grocery shopper be?
I think in the short term, it's a big concern. No doubt that tariffs will increase prices across the board on most items that Texans purchase every single day.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked if she could guarantee these tariffs wouldn't increase prices at the pump and in the grocery store for Americans. She didn't provide a straightforward answer, instead pointing back to the president's first term.
I think Americans who are concerned about increased prices should look at what President Trump did in his first term.
Hardin reiterates, even with there being so many unknowns, you can expect to pay a little more at the grocery store.
We just don't know to the extent of what that will be. And again, someone has to pay for it, unfortunately, and that's ultimately the consumer.
The White House was asked if the president would consider reversing the tariffs if they do indeed raise prices. They say the president is intent on implementing the tariffs while cutting inflation and costs for the American people.
Well, it's been a beautiful Saturday here in West Texas, and tonight really pleasant as well. Clear skies, temperatures the next several hours in the 60s. So if you have Saturday evening plans, looking good across the area. Temperatures will fall off overnight. We're talking the upper 40s to right about 50 for overnight lows. But then on your Sunday, Groundhog Day, plenty of sunshine. We're talking those temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s across the area. Very warm in the days ahead. Temperatures will climb even higher as we head towards your work week. Full forecast coming up in a few minutes.
The Abilene City Council held a retreat yesterday. They met to talk about future plans for the city. Some of those topics included adding paved parking to downtown, improving boat ramps on Lake Fort Phantom, and street maintenance projects. Here's what City Council member Blaze Reagan and Director of Public Works Max Johnson had to say about that.
So if there's residents out there that are saying, well, my street is horrible and it's never getting fixed and I'm complaining, what would you say to them as far as, okay, well, we'll come to a board meeting or email the board or
absolutely, sir,
continue to do see, click, fix, or
all the above, sir?
Okay.
To learn more about all of the projects they discussed, visit our website at ktxs.com. The Tom Green County Sheriff's Office has received information of people getting phone calls or voicemails from someone claiming to be from the Tom Green County Sheriff's Office. People who got the calls were informed they owe thousands of dollars in jury fees. Scammers often will use tactics such as providing information such as a badge number or names of actual officers to appear credible. The Sheriff's Office says they will not solicit funds or payments over the phone. They recommend that if you receive one of these calls to hang up and block the number and do not give out any personal information. If you have become a victim of one of these scams, please contact the Tom Green County Sheriff's Office. The City of San Angelo Animal Shelter is full. They're offering incentives to rescue agencies who are able to help transfer dogs from the shelter for adoption. They say they are offering $150 per dog or $3,000 per litter of puppies to nonprofit organizations that are able to help. For more information, visit our website at ktxs.com. Coming up on KTXS News at 6, the FDA is approving the first of its kind prescription for pain meds that reduces the chance of addiction.
Getting the facts right and alerting you to weather danger. You're watching KTXS News at 6 with Alejandra Puente and Tyler Green. Stay informed. Like KTXS on Facebook.
Welcome back. A medical breakthrough. The Food and Drug Administration approving a first-of-its-kind prescription pain medication that is a non-opioid, meant to reduce the likelihood of addiction. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has more from Los Angeles.
For those who deal with moderate to severe pain, there's now a new groundbreaking medication.
The new medication has side effect profiles that are inherently not only different, but don't involve the risk of substance abuse and other key side effects associated with opioids that really make it very exciting that we have this new option.
The drug is called Jurnavix and is manufactured by biotech company Vertex Pharmaceuticals. The medication, taken orally twice a day, is meant to significantly reduce the risks of addiction and overdose that are associated with opioid medications like Vicodin and OxyContin.
This particular agent has not been studied in chronic pain yet. It's been studied in acute pain post-surgery for that type of acute pain, and it has been studied in pain that goes out to 14 days.
This new drug works by targeting pain signaling pathways outside of the brain, whereas opioids bind to receptors in the brain, making it more addictive.
Patients who've had trauma, injury, post-surgical patients, we expect it to be the list price about $30 per day, although with insurance it may be less. And hopefully it should be on the shelves coming this month. We want to tell patients to talk to their doctor about what other meds they might be taking that could interact with it. But really, again, this is another tool that opens the door to other drugs that work in the same capacity and hopefully really prevents patients with acute pain from progressing to chronic pain.
The drug's inception began in the early 2000s when overdoses were increasing as a result of the mass prescriptions of opioid painkillers.
Common side effects include nausea, itching, rash, and headache. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Coming up this week on Full Measure, January 6th triggered the largest mass prosecution effort in U.S. history and now the biggest mass pardon event after an executive order from President Trump. We were there for some of the releases and will dissect the background and the aftermath. American parents are looking for better alternatives to public education, social engineering, and curricula they don't agree with. Lisa Fletcher reports on micro schools that give more control and options to families. And we'll talk with renowned psychiatrist Dr. Mark McDonald about his book, United States of Fear, How America Fell Victim to a Mass Delusional Psychosis. All this week on Full Measure.
Download the KTXS News app today.
Welcome back. Hamas released 3 hostages today who have been held captive since Hamas-led militias attacked Israel in October of 2023. Among the 3 was an Israeli American. In exchange, Israel released 183 Palestinians who had been detained in Israel. The swap is part of a 6-week truce in which the two sides agreed to exchange 33 hostages for nearly 2,000 prisoners. Israel has also agreed to allow Palestinians to return to northern Gaza and increase the humanitarian aid going into the war zone. The World Health Organization says 50 Palestinians, mostly children, crossed out of Gaza for medical treatment today. They left through southern Rafah, crossing into Egypt. It's the first time the crossing has been opened since Israel captured it nearly 9 months ago. Here's one father at the crossing Saturday saying his child has been waiting a long time for treatment.
I am very happy. We have been waiting for this trip for a long time. The healthcare situation here is disastrous. His condition was extremely difficult, and his health was deteriorating day by day. Thank God, today he will finally be able to leave.
Opening the crossing was part of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Negotiations on the second phase of the deal, which calls for a permanent ceasefire, full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, and the release of any remaining hostages, are supposed to begin Monday.
From the Taylor Telecom Weather Center, your Storm Alert forecast.
I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at your forecast, and the big weather headline is spring fever. Groundhog Day tomorrow, and we're likely to see an early spring here in West Texas, at least for the first half of February. Sunny and warm. We're talking 80s for high temperatures over the next 7 days for many of us, and mainly dry ahead as well. Not really seeing a rain chance for the next 7 days. Temperatures tonight will be falling off into the 50s by 10, and then overnight it's the upper 40s, low 50s for most of us. So a cool morning tomorrow. But this is where we should be this time of year. The afternoon, though, well above average. Upper 70s to lower 80s across West Texas. It is a sunny, warm day. We'll fall back into the 50s Monday morning, and then the afternoon on Monday, look at these temperatures. Mid-80s, may even see a few places in the upper 80s to begin your upcoming work week. So it is a very warm stretch of weather ahead of us, and it's dry. You see the forecast ahead. Not much in terms of cloud cover even through Monday. By Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll see partly sunny skies, but not seeing any rain from any of these clouds. That stays well off to our east. We're dry through the upcoming week across most of the state. Here's your temperatures in Abilene. Temperatures will run well above average. We're pushing 90 again by Monday afternoon, otherwise in the mid-80s over the next several days. The temperature trend from the 7th to the 11th stays above normal for the southern half of the country. It's a warm pattern ahead, cooler than average across the Pacific Northwest. So for us, we're talking very warm weather the next 7 days. The Arctic air stays well off to our north. 70s and 80s across the state. Even next weekend, it looks warm, especially Saturday. But then here comes a little shot of some cooler, more seasonal temperatures as we head towards the week of February 10th. So that's our next weather maker, our next change in the forecast. But until then, very warm. Here's your forecast in Abilene on your Sunday, Groundhog Day. Plenty of sunshine, a cool morning. The afternoon, though, pushing the low 80s, low humidity as well. So overall, really nice second half of your weekend. We're pushing 90 on Monday. We're in the mid 80s through much of this upcoming week. And again, we are dry. Some passing clouds here and there, but a very warm start to February in West Texas.
Still ahead on KTXS News at 6, the Skating Club of Boston is mourning the loss of several of its young members following the deadly plane crash in D.C. Wednesday, one of them just 13 years old.
From the Texas State Hearing Aid Device Center Sports Desk, now your sports report.
Welcome back. For the past several years, Gina Hahn and her mother Jen would spend countless hours at the Skating Club of Boston. The pair both on their way back home aboard Flight 5342. 13-year-old Gina was the youngest skater on board the flight. Aaron Coogan has more on how the skating community is coping with this great loss.
Not sure how to process it. Shoot, I'm sorry. Which is why I'm here.
Of the 18 athletes sent to Kansas this past week from the Skating Club of Boston in Norwood to compete in both the U.S. Figure Skating Championships and to partake in the National Development Camp.
At some point, we thought we might have lost, 10 skaters and families.
13-year-old Gina Hahn of Mansfield was confirmed the youngest club member killed in Wednesday night's fiery crash.
We watched Gina just grow up here from just a tiny little tyke into this amazingly mature 13-year-old.
Accompanied on the trip by her mother Jen, who staff at the Skating Club of Boston say spent just as many hours near the ice as her daughter.
And we talk a lot about the athletes, but I think we're going to miss their moms as much. Just really good people.
Club leaders describe 13-year-old Gina as not only an Olympian in the making, but also one of the kindest, most driven young women you'd ever meet.
Full of grace, a serious competitor, but so nice about it and so supportive of her fellow competitors.
Anytime I've been able to be here and watch them grow, the kids here really work hard, their parents work hard to be here, but I feel for the athletes, the skaters, their families.
The mother-daughter duo were just 2 of 6 members who were aboard Flight 5342 on Wednesday. And while the grief is immense, those in the skating community say they will rebuild and return stronger than they were before. KTXS News at 6 will be right back. Groundhog Day is tomorrow, but for some folks in Alabama, Sand Mountain Sam is their version of the groundhog. Sam is a possum that takes part in annual Northern Alabama tradition of weather prediction, so the community gathered on Friday morning. Turns out Sam did not see his shadow, so tradition holds the region will have an early spring. Thanks for watching KTXS News at 6. We hope to see you back here at 10.